Thanks to 39 from Derrick Henry and 32 from Matt Ryan, our Week 6 cash lineup on FanDuel was a successful one, scoring 129 points. We're going to get you ready for Week 7 with a full cash and GPP lineup with FanDuel scoring coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee with the Fantasy Football Consultants. We're going to get to our Week 7 cash and GPP lineup in just a minute. I first want to give you some exciting news about our NFL DFS Masterclass series. If you're not familiar with this is a free series of videos. Talks about how to pick the right contest, a deep dive on the technical strategies to pick the right QB, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and defense, and ends with a detailed discussion of lineup construction for cash games and GPP tournaments. And here is a very small sample of the feedback that we have received on our YouTube comment section of these videos. And we really do appreciate all of this feedback that you guys have been giving us about our content. So if you're interested in watching these videos, I'll put a link in to a playlist of these videos. But here's the exciting news. Some people are on the go and they would rather listen to it via the audio format. And now you can do that by simply logging on to the podcast app in your iTunes. Go to the search window, click on Fantasy Football Consultants, and all of the podcasts from our NFL DFS Masterclass series, including our bonus class about the showdown slates and the 5 common mistakes DFS players make. All that is on the iTunes account, as well as our 2020 weekly videos. Now, I want to award 2 new qualifiers this week for our FanDuel contest. That's the contest where you can enter for free if you qualify to win $100. All the details is in the description section of this video. The 2 qualifiers for this week, this was tough because there were a lot of good calls by you guys out there. But I am going to give it up to Lucas LeRose and Sunday 941, who both picked Justin Jefferson, wide receiver from the Minnesota Vikings, who completely went off and paid 5.94 times his value. Nobody else was even close to that. So you guys qualify. A listing of all the qualifiers are also in the description section of these FanDuel videos. All right, so don't forget, there are still several more weeks that we have to get up to 18 qualifiers. So go ahead, enter into the YouTube comment section who you think your best FanDuel play is this week. Give us the reasons why, that's very important, and your FanDuel username. You guys have been so great in this. If you are constructing your lineup, you shouldn't just listen to my video. Go down to the comment section and see what our very smart community is saying. And heck, enter your comment as well. You can win $100. What do you have to lose? It's free. All right, so let's get in to the FanDuel studio. All right, everybody, let's take a look at our cash lineup. And I know we still are in the euphoria of how well Derrick Henry helped us last week. So many of you are wondering, are we going to go back to Derrick Henry? No. Not really. Hate his matchup this week, but I'm going to go back to the running back who's in the same spot as Derrick Henry was. Aaron Jones at $400 cheaper. Gosh, Aaron Jones has been so consistent in this first 5 games before last week. Well, his first 4 games, I should say, getting at least 20 touches a game. He ran up against the Tampa Bay defense, who is really, really tough on running backs. But this week, love his matchup. He has a ridiculously high implied total of 29.5 and over-under of 55. Love Aaron Jones against this Houston Texans rush defense, which is simply awful. So we're going to put in Aaron Jones in the lineup. Who are we going to pair Aaron Jones with? Why not, in a very similar situation, just the benefit of scrolling down a bit, Kareem Hunt is too cheap. Look, I know that Kareem Hunt, since he's taken over for a injured Nick Chubb, has not done as well as we would like over the last 2 weeks. But look what the two defenses he has faced. Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, two very good defenses. Who does Kareem Hunt face this week? Oh, he is licking his chops. He faces the Cincinnati Bengals, 28th rank. Love Kareem Hunt's implied total of 27. No question about this. I am thrilled. He's simply too cheap on FanDuel. I don't understand what they're doing. At $7,100, happy to get Kareem Hunt in our lineup. Now, in our NFL DFS masterclass, we say follow the Dorothy philosophy.
There's no place like home.
So granted, we picked two road, but they're just in too good of matchups. And you know what? I'm going to give away my flex position right now. It's a guy who is at home and who really checks all the boxes, and that's Todd Gurley.
It's a trap.
Oh, some of you guys don't like Todd Gurley, and you have to get over it. I don't understand what's not to like about Todd Gurley this week. He truly does check all the boxes. First of all, he's at home. He's a favorite. He is the Falcons' goal line back. He gets involved in the passing game, and he has an absolute dream matchup against the 32nd dead last rush defense, the Detroit Lions. So I don't want to hear it. I am going to happily, at only $6,600, get Todd Gurley in my flex. One thing I want to be very clear about in our cash game, we want to attack 3 games on the slate. They're the 3 by far highest scoring games with over-unders through the roof at 57, 56, and 55 total points. That is the Detroit-Atlanta game, the Green Bay-Houston game, and the Seattle-Arizona game. If you do a cash game lineup and you don't at least have one player in each of these games, redo your cash game lineup. All right, so at wide receiver, we're going to attack that Seattle-Arizona game. We're going to get DK Metcalf in our lineup at a very fair $7,300 price. Oh boy, DK Metcalf. He has been so consistent this year. He's averaged 7.8 targets a game on 99 yards and 1 TD per game. Gotta love his consistent presence. That 29 implied total that Seattle has is pretty darn good. It's a 55 over under, and it's only a 3-point spread. So Las Vegas thinks it's a shootout. It's not a case that Seattle's going to get way up and they're going to start running the ball. So given that, I think Metcalf is an excellent pick to start our lineup. Who are we going to pair Metcalf with? Well, it's going to be another wide receiver in another unbelievably high over-under game. It's that Houston game. We're going to get Will Fuller. Now, I can't explain to you what happened to Will Fuller when he played Baltimore. But except for that game, the guy has been completely consistent, averaging 8 targets a game for 91 yards, getting touchdowns in each of his last 4 games. And again, we love the matchup this week against the Green Bay Packers, who are susceptible against the pass. And again, in that really high over under, let's dial up Will Fuller. All right. The last wide receiver, we're going to save a little money here. I don't understand why he's this cheap, folks. Robbie Anderson, who I still think is the number 1 wide receiver on the Carolina Panthers. Still looks like Christian McCaffrey is not going to play, so a little less of competition for targets on this team. When he's playing New Orleans, traditionally it's easier to attack New Orleans in the air than on the ground. And look at these targets. Never mind, FanDuel has screwed up. He didn't get 0 targets. Otherwise, it would have been very hard for him to catch 4 passes for 77 yards. But just look at his consistency in targets over the year. He's averaged 8 targets a game for 94 yards. I'll take that every day and twice on Sunday for only $6,400. All right, at tight end, we are going to have to save some money because we're going to spend up at quarterback. And the tight end that I currently have on my mind is Dalton Schultz at only $5,200. So Dallas has been a mess this year. And admittedly, losing Dak Prescott and going to Andy Dalton has hurt all of the receiving options on Dallas. But I think the one that's going to be hurt the least is Dalton Schultz, because Andy Dalton is going to check down and throw shorter passes Schultz's way. All right, let's move to quarterback. All right, folks, I love this quarterback option. And I say this as a Seattle Seahawks fan. I am going with Kyler Murray. Look, it is obvious, folks, if you've watched the Seahawks at all. You attack them in the air, not on the ground. And Arizona has struggled to run the ball this year with Kenyon Drake. So I think this is going to be a huge game for Kyler Murray. I also think game script-wise, look, it's a 55 over-under, 25 implied total for Kyler Murray. And you get that dual threat from Kyler Murray. Do you know he is the Lamar Jackson for this year? It's not Lamar Jackson. It's Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has averaged 62 rushing yards a game on the ground and averaged 1 TD a game. Did you hear me? I didn't say he's gotten 1 TD this year. I'm saying he's averaged 1 rushing TD per game, and he gives an unbelievable floor. Look at these FanDuel points: 27, 33, 24, 23, 27, 29, and in a dream matchup this week playing the Seahawks, I'm all in this week as a cash game play for Kyler Murray. The Atlanta Falcons. All right, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This is a punt play. The Atlanta Falcons have not been great this year on the defensive side, but they're at home and they play a 2-3 Detroit Lion team. Look, the Falcons are favored by 3 points, and they're coming off their best game of the year in dominating Minnesota. You know, this Falcon defense basically held Minnesota completely in check until late in the third quarter when they started to get in garbage prevent defense style. So as a punt play, I am comfortable picking the Falcons. I think Julio Jones actually really helps the Falcon defense. I know what you're saying. What are you talking about, Eric? Julio Jones doesn't play defense. I think the Falcon offense, when they do better, that will force game script wise the in this case Detroit Lions to throw the ball more. And when you throw the ball more, that's what you want out of your defense. More opportunity to get sacks, more opportunities to get turnovers, and if we get lucky, even a return to the house. So that is my cash game lineup. All right, real quick, here is my GPP lineup. You know that we're going to put a stack together where we attack either the Detroit-Atlanta game, the Green Bay-Houston game, or the Seattle-Atlanta game. And we chose the Green Bay-Houston game, partially because I think the stacking options are so obvious. Deshaun Watson, to Will Fuller. We already talked about how Will Fuller has been so consistent, and he also gives you a high ceiling. You got to get touchdowns on GPP on FanDuel, and Will Fuller has a huge touchdown upside. Going back the other way, the guy who I think he's been hurt this year, but could very well be in the top 2 wide receivers in football. Devontae Adams with also an injured Michael Thomas in the top 2. We already talked about Kareem Hunt and Todd Gurley as running backs, so I won't talk about them again. I will talk about Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk is the perfect ceiling play, and he faces a great matchup here going up against the Seattle secondary. He hooked it up with 2 deep throws from Kyler Murray last week. So at a criminally cheap $5,400, I wouldn't play Christian Kirk in cash, but I think he makes an excellent GPP play. And George Kittle. Look, we got burned earlier this year with Darren Waller going against the Patriots, who somehow figured out how to stop him. I don't know if the Patriots are going to be able to figure out Kittle. Remember, Waller came into that game injured. Clearly, Kittle is the number 1 target. So I'm a little nervous about going with Kittle in cash, but I have no problem going with Kittle in GPP. He has a large ceiling in this matchup. We already talked about Robbie Anderson and the Atlanta Falcons. So a lot of similarities to my cash in GPP lineup, but I wanted to make sure that we had 2 stacks. We've got Deshaun Watson going to Will Fuller, coming back with Devontae Adams, and a small stack with Todd Gurley and the Atlanta Falcons defense. We're telling the story, and we're telling the story that the Atlanta Falcons are going to build off their win last week, their 3-point favorites, and that they are going to beat up on the 2-3 Detroit Lions. Well, folks, I want to thank you again for your continual support of this channel. We just passed 7,000 subscribers. Thank you guys for making this channel so great. Really appreciate your support. Do me a favor and be safe out there. Take care, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time for week 8. See you later, everybody.